Hey everyone, this is Mayan Gordon. Welcome back to another Live at 5, where I have another fantastic guest. Today we have Dimitry Ortiz, who's going to be sharing his very unique, very interesting story with us. But before we dive into that, you guys know what I'd love for you to do is comment one thing that you're grateful for today in the comment section. And also please let us know, where in the world are you watching from? I'm coming to you today from Spokane, Washington, where the smoke is starting to clear up. Thankfully, we've got a ton of forest fires, unfortunately, in Washington right now. Really, the whole West Coast is in a blaze, and there's a lot of people who are dealing with that. So my heart goes out to all of those people. And I would say today, I'm very grateful that I am not impacted in any serious way or negative way by those fires. What is up, Brian? Great to see you as always. Brian's grateful for being healthy. And Dimitry, could you go ahead and kind of just introduce yourself to people? Where are you tuning in from? And how would you describe yourself as a person?
Nice. Thank you, Mayan. Thank you for having me. And hey, Brian. I just wanted to first start. I'm from Guatemala City, Guatemala, Central America, the land of the Mayan Empire. And this is so interesting about your name as well, because yes, I'm actually, that's what I am by ethnicity.
Very cool.
Mayan indigenous from Guatemala, so it's pretty cool.
That's amazing. I'm gonna cut you off right there already, because that you're already throwing some great stuff at me. Tell people, I'm sure a lot of people have no idea what you're talking about. They've never met someone who's from Mayan descent. What does that mean to you? What does that mean? And then just culturally and heritage-wise, what does that mean?
Well, it's thank you for asking. You know, I've always one of my passions has been to educate people about my culture. I think everybody has a responsibility not to expect people to know, but instead maybe be proactive and share with the world. And that's kind of what I do on social media and anytime I have experiences with people. So the Mayan culture is incredible. It's one of the most unique civilizations that has happened. For example, one interesting facts about Mayans are that they have one of the most exact calendars in the world, in the history of humankind. So it's like amazing that people from Guatemala, people from the jungle, you could say, almost, because, you know, we built incredible civilizations and cities and stuff. But I mean, we're talking about incredible people that had a very close relation with the universe. They knew about astronomy, and you know, it's like incredible how they knew everything about irrigation, underground irrigations and stuff. And they're the ones that built the Mayan temples. In Central America, Guatemala is the heart of the Mayan civilization. We have one of the biggest temples, which is called the El Gran Jaguar, which is the Great Jaguar. And it's amazing to see how Mayan civilization had the zero when Greeks were figuring it out. You know what I mean? They had a mathematical structure. They had a written language, spoken language, and it's just amazing where they lived and how they were able to support such big number of societies within, you know, the location where they were living. So it's I'm very proud. You can imagine about my heritage. Of course, I have European heritage as well, but when I talk about it, I'm more fascinated with my Mayan heritage, and so it's great to share with the world, because I believe that we can learn a lot from the Mayan civilization and many others that, you know, that the world has, and yeah, so that's where I come from, and that's who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some people who might be a little bit intrigued by what you're saying, I know that I learned certainly not as much as you must know, but I remember growing up and reading information about the Mayan Empire, and they are still today baffled at how they could even have possibly known and built some of the things that they did. Like today, we just don't truly understand how it was possible for them to have such advanced you know, mathematical systems and math figured out, how it was possible for them to know about, like you said, the stars in the universe, when there was just, how did they figure that out? How did they come across these things that were so completely exact? Even just in terms of building the temples, they're built incredibly well in terms of architecture, in terms of the math that's required to build such big structures. And I don't think it was Mayan, the temple that I got to visit. honestly don't remember, but when I was in Oaxaca, Mexico, I got to go to one of these kind of ancient temples, Aztecs, there we go. And I can just tell you guys from personal experience that it is an unreal experience to go to one of these temples, whether it's Aztec or Mayan, that was, built thousands of years ago, and imagine the people who used to be there, and imagine the way that they used to live, and see the short little doorways that are, 4 feet tall, and be like, oh my God, people were tiny. That's crazy. But it's really just an unreal experience to think that there was such a large culture and society that existed before anything that we would consider to be modern today. And it really was modern, though. At the heart of it, it was this modern society, the way that people interacted, the way that people worked together, the way that the society operated, and yet they had no technology in terms of, computers and electricity, and they were able to really thrive and survive for quite a long time. So I'd love for you to tell people, were you born in Guatemala? Where do you live now? Are you still in Guatemala? What was kind of your geographical journey? What did that look like?
Well, I was born in Guatemala City. I was a baby, resulted from the earthquake that happened in '76. Really hardcore earthquake. And so what happened is my parents, actually, we were living right in the city. My mother was a teacher, and at the time they pretty much came and scouted my grandmother. The U.S. came to Guatemala to find professionals, especially in the healthcare system. And so my grandmother was one of those nurses that was like so incredible that could like fix anybody, do doctor level operations, even labor and all these bunch of other stuff. So she was very talented and knowledgeable about her healthcare field. And so she was taken to the U.S. When she arrived to the U.S., she met my American grandfather that she married, World War One and Two Air Force, hero. She married him, and automatically by doing that, she became American, and thus gave us the choice of immigrating to the U.S. So my mother decided to go visit my grandmother one time, and then that's when she decided that she would bring us over to just learn English. That was the first thing. As a matter of fact, I came to the U.S. on my birthday, my 10th birthday.
Wow,
that was my birthday present. Yeah, and we arrived to L.A., the biggest airport in the U.S. I was like, whoa, incredible! Going from a small country as Guatemala to the big city, LA and California, it was just amazing. So we were supposed to stay there just for a little while, but then we decided, hey, we might as well stay and learn English. And then that plan, just pretty much expanded. And I was able to finish high school in the US. I graduated. Then after graduation, well, I went from California and I moved to Utah, northern Utah. As a matter of fact, I know.
I always find that fascinating when people move to Utah. And the reason I say that is because I've been to Utah, and it doesn't have a whole lot going on for it outside of, I would say, it does have incredibly strong community. So what drew you guys to Utah? Who made that decision, and for what reason?
Well, in my case, it would be more like the more common reason, which was we are of the LDS religion. So therefore, as you said, the community was already there. We already knew BYU. We used to watch them play in the football team, even in Guatemala, missionaries and all that come to our country. So we decided that we were going to move there because San Diego, even though it's beautiful and it was wonderful where we lived in Point Loma, one of the best places in San Diego, beaches and all that was awesome. But there was also the social problems of gangs. And being Latino, this is a big problem for me because it was not a choice. It was kind of a forceful situation. So that was one of my first introductions to the U.S. Is just that I was able to learn English, and it was wonderful, California. But then we went to northern Utah, and as a matter of fact, I even know Spokane because of the areas that I go to the north. So, so the reason why we went there is because we wanted a safer.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Utah does have like one of the strongest communities. Just immediately when you go into a place, being able to recognize that people really care about each other. And even just like when I was there as a tourist, people really just want to talk to you. They want to get to know you. They want to, teach you, but also just listen to you and kind of learn about who you are. And I think that that's a really powerful and unique thing, especially if you have a family. I think when you have a family, I know that when I have a family, one of the things that I've been looking at and thinking about is where is the best community for my kids to grow up, where they're going to have these people that they can trust, that they can go to, that they can, build these really foundational relationships. So it makes a lot of sense to me now.
And it was the best thing that my mother could have done, because I was able to be free for the first time. I was not socially stereotyped. I was no longer just another Mexican from the south of the border. I mean, I wasn't another gang member. I was able to be myself. I was Dimitry. People were like, okay, who are you? What are you? What do you do? How do you, who makes Dimitry? So it was the best thing that she could have done, because it was like, let me tell you, I went to a high school and I was one of the 3 minorities. There were no blacks, Asians, nothing else other than 3 Latinos. 2 of them didn't come to school. I was pretty much the one left alone.
Right.
So it was a big challenge, because it was an incredible culture shock for me, coming from California and being around so many Latinos before. But it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because I was able to do what I had to do. I went to school, and in the high school that I went to, being a good student was a cool thing, as opposed to back in being a bad boy was a cool thing. So you know what I mean? So it helped me a lot. So I was able to join the debate team. I was a Southwest national champion. It was amazing, because it was my second language. Then after that, I was able to graduate and be LDS. As you know, we have the choice of preparing ourselves and choosing to serve a mission. So I served a 2-year ecclesiastical mission in Italy. So
very cool. So tell us a little bit about that, some of the details for people who have no idea what this mission thing is that you're talking about. Could you just kind of lay out the premise of what that choice is that you guys are given, and then kind of talk us through how did you end up in Italy and what was that experience like for you?
Yes, of course. So in the LDS religion, more known as the Mormon Church, the whole complete name is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In the church, we as members of the church, young people, after they graduate from high school and they turn 18 now, it used to be 19, men and women can choose to serve a full-time mission, which means that you are going to completely they don't tell you where you're going to go. That's the reason why it's amazing, because you have to prepare yourself. I went to seminary for 4 years. I had to mentally, physically, and spiritually prepare myself. You have to be worthy. So therefore, you can't be partying and doing all that crazy stuff. You have to be very strict with your behavioral, in society and all, because you're going to be representing something very important. And thus, you have to play the part. So therefore, I prepared after high school for a whole year. I worked, and so they give us this choice of serving a mission and being sent anywhere in the world. And so, lucky for me, incredibly lucky for me, fortunate. I wanted to go to Italy. That was one of my choices, or Brazil. And to my surprise, I opened up my papers, and he said, "You're going to Padova, Italy mission." My first city was Venice. I mean, wow. But mind you, this was my second experience breaking cultures and barriers and languages.
Right.
Does that make sense? So this is my.
Do you know any Italian or Spanish or?
I'm fluent in
Spanish, but I imagine Italian's quite different.
It's a Romance language. It's a Romance language, so therefore it's a lot easier for somebody that speaks Spanish than going from English. So therefore there's the advantage, but then there's a disadvantage, because there's many similarities that are not the same. So and it's different. Like an Italian can understand a Spanish speaker, but a Spanish speaker in Italian not too much. So I had to learn. We go to a place called the MTC, the Missionary Training Center, where they teach us language for a few months. We get prepared, and then we get shipped off. So my first city, like I said, it was Venice. It was amazing. I was able to walk the streets of Italy, talk to the Italian people. It's a service, a mission, and it's a mission where you go and just talk to people about spiritual stuff, about service and to humans, among humanity, and just great things. Aside the fact that bringing the message of Jesus Christ. So it was just a beautiful thing, because I was able to talk to many Catholics that they brought Catholics. The Spaniards brought Catholicism to Guatemala first. So what I did is I brought back, a little
trade, absolutely.
Yeah. So I brought the American, side of the story, where because we bring the Book of Mormon, and the Book of Mormon talks about the ancient history of the Americas. So that's what's so beautiful, because
Right.
they have the Bible, we have the Book of Mormon, which is parallel to both of the books. So it was just beautiful to get to know the Italian culture. Parlare italiano è bello. It's just so beautiful to speak Italian. I mean, it's just like they speak with passion. They speak with power. They speak with it's just so amazing. I miss speaking Italian. Let me tell you, because it was just so beautiful. They were so open. And for the first time, let me tell you, in the U.S., because people don't know where Guatemala is, some people, especially in the northern Utah, didn't really understand my culture. Something that Italians knew, they knew everything about my culture. For the first time, I was actually, when I said I'm from Guatemala, they were like, oh, Grande Guatemala. And they would start talking about the Mayans. They would start talking about everything. The fact that we have over 22 dialects actively spoken of Mayan in my country. They would tell me things that nobody would know anywhere else. And so they showed me that we're very highly cultured. And it was just beautiful. So yes, I served there for 2 years, ended up in south of Florence. That's where I ended up. I served in 4 cities, Ravenna and Mantova. It was just beautiful. So yeah, if anybody wants to be so cultured and have an amazing experience, you need to go to Italy before you depart.
People tell me all the time that I have to go to Italy, not just for that reason, but also for I'm a glass blower, and they have one of the richest glass blowing. Yeah, they have one of the richest glass blowing cultures and histories out of anywhere. So I can't wait for my first time going over there. I think it's going to be an amazing experience. And kind of to echo what you said, what I've heard about Italy is that they are just so warm in how they treat you. It's very much like they welcome you in. They want to make you a part of, their existence. They want you to be a part of their larger family. They want to treat you like family. And I think that's something that wherever you're traveling, if you can find that, you're going to have an amazing trip. You're going to have an amazing time. So take us after Italy. Where did you go? What happened next in your life?
Okay, so I come back from my mission, served with honor. It was amazing. I was a leader most of my time there, and it was just beautiful. So I came back, and I had no plans, no school, no nothing, but just, a lot of just wanting to start my life. And so the opportunity came that my sister married a Dominican, and he started in IT. And so he said, listen, Dimitri, this is back in 1998. When networks were starting off, many people didn't know about them. They were going from mainframes into collaborative networking. So he said, hey, you want to start in IT? Computers? And I'm like, Jose, you realize I never even had a computer in my house, right? He's like, it doesn't matter, man. I'll get you up. I'll put you up to date. I'll take you, show you the ropes, and just come over. So he invited me to come over to New York, upstate in Syracuse, and he told me that, this is what you do. So and this is part of my message. I'm here to tell everyone. See, I'm a computer scientist now. I graduated. So
congratulations, that's exciting.
Thank you. And so I've been in the IT field, and let me tell you, but I didn't start graduated. I was again going from the start. He said, "Hey, go get yourself some books to get certified in MCSE, Microsoft Certified System Engineer. You can come over here, man, and you can just get started." And I was like, "Are you serious?" Like anybody else that I would tell this story would be like, "Are you serious?" We're talking about no computer, no nothing. I mean, we're talking about not even a cell phone. Okay, I didn't know there were no apps. There were nothing. Internet was even rare. So we're talking about somebody that didn't know anything. This is the reason why I'm sharing this story. My brother-in-law gets me out there. In 6 months, I'm certified in every one of the server-based certifications. And he's like, okay, let's go start looking for jobs. Next thing you know, there's an opening. He's like, go for it. And I went for it. I knew how to express, how to communicate. I knew how to sell myself. I was confident. I had, studied for 6 months, which is funny because the only thing I knew about networks were 2 little old towers that I connected with a wire from the back. That was pretty much as extensive as my networking experience was in the actual hands-on. So I went there, and I was just like very confident. I was just like, I got to do this, and I got the job. With it as a network technician, within 8 months, the network administrator left, and guess who knew all the stuff in the infrastructure? Me, myself, and I. So I was promoted within 8 months. I became a network administrator of the biggest freight company in the East Coast at the time. We had over 31 terminals from Maine to Atlanta interconnected to my network in New York with the highest and best technology. They had so much money to throw at the technology. I got to learn Citrix. I was able to know the mainframes. I was able to implement a lot of technology. So that's what happened. So it was just amazing. So this is the reason why I'm here to tell people, hey, you can do this. And the next thing that happened. Yeah. So, I want people to understand, hey, technology is like the easiest and fastest track to getting to know what's going to happen in the future in the business structures that are going to be coming up. So, like, don't fear, and let me tell you something too. It's something that I wanted to share with everyone here is that we don't have to come out of the Big Bang Theory looking like type of people. We can be like me. That I was. I mean, I was a rebel. I mean, I was a dancer. I was a graffiti artist. I was just this and that. I mean, I was just all over the place. So I wasn't like the schoolboy. Like great grades.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to, graduate from Stanford and wear glasses and hold books all the time to be someone who's really successful in the technology space. You can be an artist. You can be someone who's into fashion. You can have these other interests that normally someone would look at and say, oh, you wouldn't be a good fit for this. But that's the great thing about technology is it's a great fit for everyone who's willing to take the time and open up their mind to be able to learn it.
Yes, and that's what it is. All it is dedication, focus, and determination, and just consistency. And if you don't know today, in 5 days, it'll be a lot easier to understand. Yep. The great thing about it is I was able to start back in the day. Then I went to Houston, Texas. I was able to take over a high voltage power engineering construction company with a lot of engineers. I continued my career, and then I thought, you know what? I love the fact that I have an amazing title. I love the fact that I have a lot of experience. But at the time, this is 2004, degrees were still a little relevant. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so I decided to go back to Utah, and I went back to school, which is funny because this is the reason why I want to tell this story. I went to wait tables and became a bartender while I was going to school. People are like, why in the world would you do that? Because I wanted to focus on what I was doing and while I worked, I didn't want to think. Does that make sense? And so it's funny because it was the best thing that I could have done. It was fun. I paid my college and everything. So it was cool, So I just want to tell people, hey, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you have to switch it, even down if it seems like it, but you're going, as long as you're still moving forward.
And it sounds like you really focused on what was best for you from what you knew, and you didn't care about what other people might think about waiting tables. Like, you knew that waiting tables was better than you having this, let's say, bigger job that was going to distract you from the actual learning aspect of what you were trying to achieve. So I think that's an amazing message. You guys, you are always going to be the person that knows what's best for you. And the outside world's going to try and tell you a lot of things about how you should do something or about how something looks from the outside. And it doesn't matter because you know what's best.
Exactly. So that's exactly the point, It's like that's what I wanted to do. Where I lived, there weren't that many technical jobs, but I wanted to be there and live there. So it was exactly what the plans were. And so I graduated, and in 2008, the worst year that anybody could have graduated.
Right.
Recession. My field became saturated. 167 people applying for the same job. I mean, ridiculous. Right. So what did I do? Pivot again. My friend was like, hey, man, you have the gift of communication. You should come with me. You should come do sales. And I have always been told that I could be good in sales. So what happened? I joined the Vivint team, which is one of the biggest home automations and security companies. As a matter of fact, in Utah, if you see where the Jazz play is, the Vivint Center. So that's a company that I work for. And so I went there, and I just working in that company sends us out to work. And do door-to-door sales. And this is something else that people said, well, you're going to go to the streets now? I'm like, yeah, man, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yep. And so I went, and my first state was Alabama. I went to Columbus. You know what? It was just amazing. I went to hit the streets. I got to know the people. I ate the best barbecues, and I made a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about every contract that you sell is $500 to $700. So people I may look like I'm like wasting my time out there, but let me tell you, I have not made more money.
A lot of money if you're good at sales and door-to-door sales. I have a friend who's a TikTok influencer, actually doing very well, and she started off with door-to-door sales selling books. And you might think, selling books, how much money can you make selling books? A lot, because people will buy a whole bundle of books at a time. And she said that it was an amazing experience, not just because she got to connect with people, but because she would get some pretty hefty paychecks. And I think they paid out a little bit different. It wasn't like a once every 2 weeks. It was much more, I think, every couple months they got a really large paycheck from all of their sales. So don't look down on people who are doing things different than you guys, because the fact is they might be doing better than you. They might be not only making more money, but having a better time at it at the same time. So make sure you don't judge other people based on their professions, based on their work. There are positives and negatives to absolutely every field.
And just to let you know, this company allowed me to go to many cities and places, including Spokane, Washington, where I
Nice.
went to sell the same, systems, automation systems. And so, it's incredible because people are going to understand that sales is not necessarily only like a profession, but it's also sales are in life. So when
Yes.
you learn about sales, it's such a great skill to learn. I mean, you should
Yes.
read selling books even if you don't sell, because you will understand so much about the communication, understand the philosophy and psychology behind it. That it really we're always negotiating. Let me just say that.
Yep. We're always selling something, whether
Yeah.
it's our ideas, whether it's ourselves, whether it's a product or a service. You are always, I think sales and influence, they're really tied together. And if you don't want to use the word sales, what you're doing then is you're trying to influence every single person that you come across in one way or another. And that's the same thing as selling. It's just different terminology. So absolutely. I think every single person can learn an incredible amount from actively and willingly participating in sales.
Yes, and so so I gained another experience. People would think, "Wow, this hard life of yours," and I'm like, "No, I love my life. I love the fact, you know what I mean." And so what happened is I made pretty good money doing that, and then I decided, you know what, it's just money. So I wanted to come back to my country. I wanted to come back and touch roots, and I came back to live in Guatemala, and I decided to work for a nonprofit. I was blessed to work with an organization that was able to take people from all Central American countries, Panama, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala, including Belize and some parts of Mexico. We would bring our students and give them full rides. We would pay for their stay, their food, their even back if they had family, that we would support their families while they would come to Guatemala for 4 months. I was the director there. I had 7 teachers, and we would teach about 150 students every 4 months, full rides. We would, and at the 4th month, the purpose was for them to having graduated with fluent enough English that they could work in a call center in English, because there's a lot of call centers here in Guatemala. And so it's like a guaranteed job, and it pays really well. So you can go from having no education or no experience.
So you were really changing these students' lives, like in a really profound way, where not only it sounds like that student was welcomed into a new realm of opportunity that they would have otherwise had, but really having an impact on their entire family to make their entire family's lives better. That is such a cool thing. That must have been incredibly rewarding.
Incredible. I mean, like, that's the reason why, it was like, that's what I needed, and that's what I got. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't make much money because it was a nonprofit. But money, who cares about money when we're talking about what I was able to do and what was privileged to experience. I mean, seeing the change in people's lives and their economy. And not only that, but remember, we were giving them English. If you think about it, we're coming into a global economy that's based on English. So it's like the opportunities are endless. You know what I mean? So I was very happy about that. Then I decided that I needed to make some money. So I went and threw myself in business. I opened up a retail store for female clothing, fashion clothing and stuff. And it was great. 5 years, 5 years. It was great until the pandemic. So, but it was great because I was able to understand how it is to start a business, even had employees. It was just a great experience. And you know what? This is the reason why I'm here to share this message. Like, the pandemic has hit us all. But you know what? If it wasn't the pandemic, it could be something else. You know what I mean? I have survived so many other things and really challenges in my life. But every challenge, every opposition that I've had in my life, it has been the opportunity for me to learn and overcome something that's going to teach me something that's going to make me stronger than ever before.
That is beautiful. I think that's a perfect message to kind of wrap up on. Honestly, I feel like I could talk to you forever. There's just so much good details and like amazing experiences you've been through. And I just want to echo the fact, like, what I'm hearing from you is that you've been able to take every single experience that you've had the opportunity to be a part of, not been forced into, that you have this mindset around opportunity and around every experience being something that adds to and builds upon everything else you've done, even if it's completely different and on the outside might look like a step backwards. You're not seeing it as a step backwards or even a step sideways. You're seeing it as something that really actually is another step. It's a level up from everything else you've done because of what you can learn from it and just the extra kind of values that it puts into your life. And I think that is just one of the most successful mindsets. If we're going to talk about what success is, you guys, Dimitry is a perfect example of what success looks like, because it's not about achieving an end result. It's about living with a mindset that you are always making progress and that you're taking everything that comes your way and getting the absolute most out of it that you possibly can. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you? Most people say LinkedIn. I'm guessing that's probably the best way, but let us know if you've got an email or a website you want people to go to. And then what's kind of like a last message that you want to leave people with?
Yes, and so as I mentioned, guys, right now I want to tell you that I'm promoting programming and getting into programming. There's a website, freecodecamp.org. They're a nonprofit. You can get free courses. You can get into there within 6 months. You can be certified and you could be having an amazing job in the technology. And that's what my message is. I'm also doing it. You can look at some of my videos. I talk about it, and you can go on my profile, LinkedIn profile. This has nothing to do with my job. This is something that I want to share with everyone, because everybody can get into technology and everybody can do it. As long as you set the time and you put the effort, you will be rewarded grandiosely. So this is my message to everyone. Don't give up.
That's awesome.
Pivot everything. Do whatever you can. There are so many opportunities out there. Learn, teach yourself, train yourself, and get certified in whatever else in many aspects, in many fields, as many as you can.
Wow, that's amazing. I think this has been one of the best kind of interviews in terms of, I think, bringing you guys in the audience value. Freecodecamp.com, literally, you guys, .org. Mm-hmm. .org, freecodecamp.org, you guys, please go check it out, especially if you've been stuck, if you've been feeling unmotivated. Just commit yourself to learning this one new thing, and it literally could change your entire life forever in such a profound and positive way. I also really, really, truly believe in the power of technology and understanding how to use it and utilize it. So this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for taking the time to come share your story, come share all of this value and information with everyone. I really appreciate you guys. Have a great night. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure to share this or tag someone in the comments so that we're not hoarding this amazing information all to ourselves.